Jai Hind. In continuation with the oral hygiene videos of PERIO SUBHARTI, that is, how to keep our mouth clean to prevent any disease in the oral cavity, in one of our earlier videos, we had covered up the correct method of toothbrushing, the technique of brushing with a manual toothbrush. Many a times we have a doubt whether to use a manual toothbrush or we are supposed to use a powered toothbrush. So in this particular video, we'll be covering up the types of powered toothbrushes and the correct method of toothbrushing with a powered toothbrush. So as you can see that basically this is a powered toothbrush, this is a manual toothbrush. What that basically means is that in a manual toothbrush, we have to make our effort with our hand to cause the vibratory motion for cleaning of our teeth. In this basically, that vibration is produced once we switch on this switch and ultimately they start vibrating on its own. Now, in power toothbrush, electric toothbrushes also, two types are there. One type is basically with a removable battery. So, this is a battery which can be removed. So, once this battery is removed, a new one can be put. One battery generally lasts 15 to 20 days. So, these sort of power toothbrushes are towards the more economical side. They start from roughly 1000 rupees onwards. On the other hand, we have these rechargeable power toothbrushes also, in which the charging is basically done on this charger. So once the charging is done, this charge, which takes around roughly 45 minutes to be completed, that charge also lasts roughly 15 to 20 days. Many a times these toothbrushes have two modes. So the first mode basically is of 30,000 vibrations and the second mode basically is of 20,000 vibrations. We generally recommend using the mode which is having the lower vibrations. So on the whole, this is with regard to this thing. Now ultimately this head is replaceable. The bristles of a power toothbrush are basically of the super soft variety only and they have to be replaced every 3 to 4 months. This head basically comes for 200 to 300 rupees and this has to be replaced every 3 to 4 months. Now, irrespective of whether we are using a manual toothbrush or a power toothbrush, the technique remains the same of toothbrushing. So, in toothbrushing technique, as has been covered in our earlier video, the first is method of application of the toothpaste onto the toothbrush. So, the mistake that we normally make is that after making it wet, ultimately what we do is we end up applying something known as P head. So P head basically means that we are applying a very small quantity of a toothpaste. This P head is wrong because this much quantity is sufficient generally only from children, for children. In adults, many a times we end up applying this earthworm sort of a thing. This earthworm is also wrong because what happens is in this way the entire toothpaste remains in one particular area and then we have to make an effort to spread it around. The correct method of application of the paste onto the toothbrush is that after wetting the bristles, we are supposed to apply it at 90-degree and then we are supposed to press and move it along. So what happens is the paste actually goes inside the bristles. So this is the correct method of application of the paste onto the toothbrush. Now after we have applied this particular toothpaste, the technique remains the same. The technique is the same the way we had demonstrated in the earlier video, that you have to switch on the toothbrush and now it has to be upper teeth in a downward direction, down teeth in an upward direction. So always and always the direction of brushing has to be away from the direction of the gums. That remains the same in manual as well as power toothbrushes. On the occlusal surface we have to brush it like this, okay? And more time and more effort has to be applied in the lower teeth in the upward direction because this is the area where maximum plaque accumulation, that is saliva accumulation, is there. This toothbrush has an advantage over a manual toothbrush that a timer generally is there. So after every 1 minute, a haptic feedback is there, meaning the toothbrush will stop working after 1 minute for just a fraction of a second. So overall what happens is we are able to know the time of toothbrushing also. And the overall bristle head size is smaller as compared to a manual toothbrush. The reason for that is better force concentration is there in a powered toothbrush. So this was just a small demonstration of powered toothbrushes. Whether to use a powered toothbrush or a manual toothbrush, it is an individual choice. Both the modalities are very effective. Although textbooks says that powered toothbrushes are slightly better than manual toothbrushes with regard to cleaning efficiency as well as making our oral cavity free of disease. However, there are four situations in which power toothbrushes have been found to be definitely better than manual toothbrushes. These are firstly patients with orthodontic appliances, secondly, children who don't have the necessary skills for learning how to brush properly. The third category are hospitalized patients in which caregivers have to brush their teeth as such. And the fourth category are patients having some sort of physical or mental disability. Brushing, irrespective of whether you are doing with powered or manual, it is very, very important for us to brush for 2 minutes twice a day at least. And majority of the time, twice daily brushing is more than sufficient to keep our oral cavity, our mouth, free from any disease. However, there are few situations in which interdental cleaning aids like floss and interdental toothbrush are supposed to be used. Which are those situations? We'll be covering it up in our next video. So thanks a lot for watching. Jai Hind.